We shouldn't have gone into the cave. It was stupid, but at the time, it seemed like just another adventure, another weekend thrill. It was me, Mark, Sarah, and Jenna. We'd been hiking through the mountains for hours when we found the entrance to the cave, hidden behind a dense cluster of trees. At first glance, it looked like any other cave, dark, cold, and inviting, in that creepy, "what's in there" kind of way. But what caught our attention were the markings, strange symbols, carved deep into the rock around the entrance. They weren't like anything I'd ever seen before, not ancient runes, not some hiker's graffiti. These were different. Sarah, being the curious one, immediately pulled out her phone to snap a picture. Mark, always the brave idiot, grabbed his flashlight and stepped into the cave first, calling out for us to follow. "Come on, it's probably just an old shelter or something. We've come this far, might as well check it out." That's how it always starts, right? Curiosity. A bad decision fueled by nothing more than the thrill of exploring something unknown. The cave wasn't deep at first, just a narrow passageway that opened up into a larger cavern. Our flashlights danced off the jagged walls, revealing more of those strange carvings. The further in we went, the more unsettling it became. The air was thick and musty, but it was more than that. It felt heavy, oppressive, like we were being watched. "We should turn back," Jenna said, her voice shaking slightly. She wasn't wrong. Everything in my gut screamed to leave, but Mark pushed on, and none of us wanted to be the one to back out first. Then we saw it. The opening. A narrow crack in the back of the cavern that was almost hidden by a pile of loose rocks. It didn't seem like something formed naturally, like the earth had been forced apart, and beyond it, we could see faint light flickering. "There's something down there," Sarah whispered. Mark was already pulling rocks aside, widening the gap so we could squeeze through. One by one, we crawled into the hidden passage, the air growing colder with every step. We shouldn't have gone further. The passage led to a massive chamber, and the second we stepped inside, it hit us. The overwhelming sense of wrongness, evil almost. This wasn't just some cave. The walls were lined with more of those symbols, etched in deep, but they weren't random anymore. They were words, a language none of us could read, but somehow, deep down, we knew what they meant. "These markings," Jenna said, trailing her fingers along the stone. "They're from that old horror novel, Children of the Abyss. I swear I've seen these symbols before." I remembered that book. It was about a cult of people who lived underground, hiding from the world, worshipping something dark and twisted. They lured outsiders into their hidden world, where they performed horrific rituals, sacrifices. But this wasn't a story. This was real. As we moved deeper into the chamber, we found them. Statues at first, we thought. Dozens of figures standing motionless in the dim light, arranged in a semicircle around a massive stone altar. But when we got closer, we realized they weren't statues at all. They were people, living, breathing, watching. Their eyes were empty, hollow, yet they followed us as we moved. Their skin was pale, stretched too tightly over their bones, and their mouths were twisted into expressions that didn't make sense. It was like they were waiting for something. "What the hell is this place?" Mark whispered, his voice barely more than a breath. Before any of us could answer, one of them moved. It was slow at first, a twitch of the hand, a turn of the head, then another and another, until all of them were shifting, their eyes still locked on us. My heart pounded in my chest, and I could feel the terror rising in my throat. We needed to leave. "Now. We have to get out of here," Sarah said, backing toward the entrance. But as she did, something slammed shut. The passage we had come through, blocked. The people, the things that lived here had sealed it behind us, trapping us in the chamber with them. "No, no, no," Jenna shouted, clawing at the wall, trying to push the rocks aside, but it was no use. That's when the chanting started. Low, guttural, a language none of us understood, but it filled the chamber, echoing off the walls. The figures were moving toward us now, their steps slow, deliberate. This wasn't a place we had found by accident. This was a trap, and we had walked right into it. "They know," Jenna whispered, her face pale as she backed into a corner. "They know we're outsiders." The people in the cave, the ones from the book, they were real. This was their home, their sacred place, and we had disturbed it. Outsiders weren't just unwelcome, they were sacrificed, killed. The figures closed in, surrounding us, their hollow eyes glowing with some unholy light. I could feel the cold creeping into my bones, the air thick with the smell of rot and death. Mark tried to fight, swinging his flashlight at the nearest one, but it did nothing. His hand passed right through, like they weren't solid anymore, like they were shadows. And then they struck. It happened so fast. 1 second, Mark was shouting. The next, they were on him, tearing him apart. Blood sprayed across the stone, his screams echoing through the chamber. But they didn't stop there. They turned on Sarah next, pulling her into their circle. I could hear her bones snap, her body twisted in ways that weren't humanly possible. Jenna was sobbing, curled into a ball, but there was no mercy here. They dragged her to the altar, their chanting louder now, and I knew she wouldn't survive. I don't know how I got away. Maybe they let me go. Maybe I was just lucky, but I ran. I ran through the cave, through the passage that seemed to open just long enough for me to escape. I could still hear their chanting behind me, growing fainter as I clawed my way out of the cave. But I know this now. That cave, it wasn't just some random discovery. It was a place of death, a place where the evil from that book had bled into the real world. The people in that cave, they weren't human anymore. They were something else. And now, they know I'm still out here. They'll come for me. I don't know when, but I can feel it.